All right, you guys. Good morning. Welcome back to the channel. Today is a day that will go down in infamy. American citizens, including the homeless vets, racially profiled Hispanic legal Americans, are now, as we speak, being rounded up, detained, incarcerated, and it is yet to be seen where these people are being put because none of that was talked about. None of that was talked about in this new edict that Trump has now done. He just said, oh, we're going to institutionalize these people. Well, where are we going to put them all? Where are we going to put them all? The last I checked, there wasn't really anywhere to put these people. Otherwise, they would be in these places. We are literally living in the purge. It's like a bad movie, isn't it? Anybody who disagrees with Trump, anyone that stands in the way of what's happening, are thrown to the ground, arrested, incarcerated, institutionalized. This is the world we live in now, today, in 2025. And the Democrats are not off the hook on this. They were part of the problem. They helped create the scenario that we're in right now. So we're not picking on Trump. All of them are involved. They are the deep state. And this most recent power grab shows their hand. It was a Trojan horse all along to trample the rest of our rights, with Trump pretending to solve the problem and the majority of America jumping on board because we love a good drama, don't we? We love a good contest. Stick it to those Mexican cartels. Stick it to the homeless who have dirtied and soiled our cities. While it's difficult to pinpoint an exact real-time number, Washington, D.C. has a significant number of homeless veterans. In 2024, the city had the highest veteran homelessness rate in the country. Our veterans who are homeless, let me be clear here, are being rounded up and thrown into institutions, and who knows what else. What if some of these homeless veterans are homeless because they tried to speak out against things that they saw and maybe did themselves that they are ashamed of, and they were cast aside, and now they can just go in and clean up the mess, can't they? And all of the rights wing pundits are coming out. Charlie Kirk calls for full military occupation. They're now showing their hand. Charlie Kirk says full military occupation of American cities once we liberate DC. And now you know who these people are. They are taking off their masks. This is unbelievable, you guys. MAGA influencer Charlie Kirk celebrated Trump's Liberation Day takeover of the nation's capital by calling for the Trump administration to unleash a full military occupation of other large American cities once we liberate Washington, D.C. This is explicitly against the Constitution, you guys. You can say what you want. Oh, Casey, it's because of the crime. I completely understand that, but understand that the crime situation was allowed to become that on purpose. This is a right-left play. They want this, both the right and the left. The left did their part to allow these cities to fall into despair, the wrecking of the economy. So people, even if you could get a job, you're basically paying to work. You guys, it's to the point now. It's to the point now. where people are literally paying money for the ability to go to work. And you know exactly what I'm talking about. You're working to pay everybody else in your life. You're working a job, a minimum wage job. Then you're spending $25 a day in fuel. Then you've got to eat, right? So you got a lunch break. That's $25, $50. Half to three quarters of your income or half to a quarter of your income is already spent just getting into your car and going to work. Then you've got to pay your rent. Then you've got to pay your bills. Then you've got to pay for upkeep on your car. By the time it's all said and done, there's almost nothing left. In a country where we have billionaires approaching trillionaires, we have working slaves. We all know it. We all know it. This is why the homelessness problem has surged. This is why people are doing more drugs, because there's no hope. They try to go to work, and just like the scenario I just gave you, you spend all your money trying to keep your head above water so you don't drown. Please chime in for those of you who know what I'm talking about. Let's have a real discussion about America. Have you had to do this as well? Are you working just to keep your head above water? You know, they tell us the statistics, you guys. They tell us that most people are living paycheck to paycheck. They literally tell us the truth. Oh, but Trump says I surround myself with brilliant people. But the people I'm around are smart. These are good people. They're so smart. They're successful and smart. Remember this? That's how he looks at the rest of us. If you're not successful and smart, you're nothing to him. Now, yesterday's show got flagged. We were talking a lot about a particular V word in that show, but that show should not have been flagged. We've said the V word many, many more times in other shows. So the censorship is back. Yesterday's show had a 99% thumbs up rating. In other words, there were 99 thumbs up and 1 thumbs down per 100. And yet, it was flagged. The YouTube police, under a Trump presidency, doesn't want you to know about all those connections, all the weird coincidences of AI, of the V word, of this new cancer thing, of the IVF. Oh, all of this is just not connected. None of this has nothing to do with each one. Of course it does. It's a string of events. It's evidence connecting all these things together. They are moving towards something, and you're going to see this in tomorrow's show. We're going to be doing the Alien Earth TV series, which is very well made, and I'm going to show you how all of this is connected. It's all there. It's in the Alien Earth TV series as well. Apparently, we're not allowed to talk about I to the V to the F now. That's the new word that gets you flagged. Wonder why that is. Why don't they want us talking about that? Now you know. Now. So, Charlie Kirk has sold out our rights. Casey, you sound like a liberal. Nope. I am far right of all of these people. Why? Because I believe in individualism and the rights of the Constitution. I'm a constitutionalist. These people are not. They're acting like liberals. They're trampling all over your constitutional rights. They're the left-wing nuts. We should have never crossed this line under any circumstances. You fix the economy and you make it so that people can go to work and not be drowning. For any job out there, every job is important. And until we see broke trillionaires, which we will never see, because that's like, what do you call that? A broke trillionaire doesn't exist. It's like jumbo shrimp, right? So they need to start carving off some of their money to pay people a fair wage so that they're not walking around in the streets. People should be able to go to work for 30 to 40 hours a week and afford a place to live without drowning. And I don't care about college. That's already been exposed as a scam. All the worthless college degrees that people get puts them into debt, and then you end up owing the government money. It's a way for them to tax you. These degrees shouldn't even exist if there are no jobs attached to them. Where's the connection between the jobs and the degrees? Why are they allowing people to get degrees and go into debt when they can't even have work afterwards? Why aren't they educating you on the supply and demand of the job market for which you are getting your degree for? There's a disconnect and it's intentional. And now Trump's going through and garnishing people's wages for their loans. It's another tax. I hope people are awake. I know I'm a little excited today, but I'm a little angry that they flagged our video yesterday. I'm angry at what's happening about with all this. I'm angry that there are all these sellout truth channels that were artificially throttled in the YouTube space to get everyone watching them, and then they just sell out. I'm upset about this, and you guys should be too. And thank you for showing up to real truth channels who tell you the truth instead of getting you to choose sides and to give in to all this stuff. So, Trump is now forcing the homeless into jail or shelters. Surge, purge, it's all the same thing. Of which many are veterans who served your country. Blah, 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 blah. How are vets? How are veterans even homeless in America to begin with? With all the greed and fleecing of trillions of dollars from the people that is literally building a technocracy to further imprison us, and nobody gets it. How do we even have homeless veterans? How's that even possible? I think we would all agree, most people would agree, that, okay, let's think this through. Let's think this through. Let me go back into the chat here. No sound on the video? I don't know what's going on. Some people can hear, some can't. I don't know what's going on. No sound. Okay, let's try this. Jeez, can you guys hear me? Let's see here, properties. Okay, okay, here we go. Okay, sorry about that. She was just blah, blah, blah. So nothing really to see there on that. Sorry about that. I didn't have my settings set up right. Let's think this through. Are you ready for this? You ready for your mind to be blown this morning? Who's making all the money off of wars? The military industrial complex, right? Of which there are many tech billionaires, Palantir, Halliburton. I don't know if they're still around. So, if they're making a bunch of billions and trillions of dollars in these military contracts, can't they shave off $1 billion or 20 million to house veterans who are disabled? Can't they afford $500 or $600 a month and some help for people who need it that are veterans? How many veterans can there possibly be? It's not like we have millions and millions of veterans, right? Whose responsibility would it be for these veterans who can't get a job? Now, listen, This is human nature, right? Not everyone's going to sit. If you're a veteran, you're not going to sit on assistance. Some of these guys are going to want families. They're going to want to go to work. They're going to have the ability to do it based on whatever damage that they experience in the military, right? So it's not like they're going to have to pay for all the veterans. But if you go and serve your country, get bullets shot at you, and you end up on the streets, you should go back to Palantir and they should be paying you to like live somewhere. Now, you can call it welfare if you want, but if there was ever a reason for someone to get welfare, it would be a veteran, right? You guys, this is not rocket science. This is not rocket science. This is common sense. If there are companies making record profits every time we go to war, they should be the ones with the responsibility of helping the veterans. They should be helping to fund the VA. They should be helping on some way, on some level, but they are not giving one red dime to those causes. The responsibility falls on you and I, and they're still not helping the vets with our tax dollars. I don't know. Am I off base here, you guys? Am I in left field? What do you, let's do a poll. Okay. I was hoping more people would show up today, but so these polls will make more sense and have more power. So, should $1 billion tax, or I'm sorry, $1 billion military contractors pay a tax towards homeless vets? Let's see what you guys have to say, because this is a real thing. Why is the responsibility falling on you and me? We don't even agree with most of these wars. So let's let that ride for a little bit. 100%, 94%, most of you believe that responsibility should fall on the very people that are pushing for these wars and profiting off of it. Amen. Common sense prevails. Now you know why they don't want this channel to go to the rest of the masses, because people would start to wake up. Now, what else is going on? So, White House says homeless people in D.C. could be forced into shelters or jailed. Let's try to play this again here.
To take action when it comes to homeless encampments. So homeless individuals will be given the option to leave their encampment, to be taken to a homeless shelter.
Remember, the highest percentage of veterans is in DC. They're literally putting veterans in jail. I'm sure they're going to take down this video today. Let's watch this.
To be offered addiction or mental health services, and if they refuse, they will be susceptible to fines or to jail time. Again, these are pre-existing laws that are already on the books. They have not been enforced.
Look at her.
Which is part of the reason for this.
She's saying this with a straight face in her comfortable little home, where the very people that are arresting defended her comfort level and freedom.
Federalizing of the National Guard to bring in this assistance for law enforcement. While we are targeting criminals and trying to remove criminals off of the streets, we also want to make DC safe and beautiful, and that involves.
So now veterans are not beautiful and safe anymore. That's a stain. We don't want to see homeless vets.
Removing mentally disturbed individuals in homeless encampments as well. So we will be using these regulations and code that already exists to clean up our streets.
Notice how there's nothing behind the eyes, like a blank stare. Very robotic, because how could you possibly say something like this? Now, they're not saying specifically the veterans, but they are part of it all, aren't they? Now, here's another group that most people have much less sympathy for, because they've been programmed to believe through, the left dropping the ball on immigration and this whole, oh, Mexican drug cartels and all this. They've been programmed to have no sympathy for these people. Yet, here we are. U.S. citizens literally are being detained, racially profiled because they look Hispanic. Some of them detained for up to 24 hours. And this is obvious. Listen, let's cut to the chase here. Let's have a brutally honest conversation about this. How long was it going to take a person with all this technology, the ICE team, with all the technology that they've been using? We know that Palantir gave them software as well for tracking and tracing. We covered that 3 or 4 months ago. Palantir gave them artificial intelligence software. How long could it possibly take them to figure out if these people are citizens or not? Should take about 15 seconds, right? Especially if the person pulls out an ID. You run it through the database, boom, it comes back. You're a citizen, you're free to go. But instead, what are they doing? These are U.S. citizens they're detaining for 24 hours. Why? Because you look Hispanic. There's something else happening here, you guys. We have to wake up and use common sense. I can imagine these people are having all of their biometrics collected, even though they're Americans. They are now doing body scans, scanning all your tattoos. Imagine going through this. Oh, you're going to have to get naked now. We're going to scan your entire skin. We're going to take fingerprints of you. We're going to track and trace you. We're going to do a detailed face print. Let's read this. American citizen who was detained by immigration agents and accused of obstructing an arrest before her case was ultimately dismissed, said she is still traumatized by what happened. So if you're standing in the way of any of this, you're going to jail. You're going to get detained. Andrea Velez was in downtown LA on June 24th. She was charged with assaulting a federal officer while he attempting to arrest a suspect. Okay, well, maybe she did something she wasn't supposed to do. I'm not going to defend someone striking an officer. So the Justice Department dismissed her case without prejudice. It did not immediately reply to requests for comment. Production coordinator for a shoe company recalled seeing federal agents when her mother and sister dropped her off at work. It was like a scene. They were just ready to attack and chase. Now, this is, of course, is alleged that she did something to the officer, so we can't just believe what their report is either. You got to look at this through the lens of being neutral. Velez said someone grabbed her and slammed her to the ground. So they did grab her. They probably thought she was an illegal. So she got slammed to the ground. They slammed me to the ground and asked questions later. She said that she tried to tell the agent, who was in plain clothes, that she was a citizen, but that he told her she was interfering with what he was doing, and so he was going to arrest me. That's when I asked him to show me his ID, his badge number, she said. I asked him if he had a warrant, and he said I didn't need to know any of that. So, trampling on Americans' rights. Now, of course, this is a pretty foggy situation, with all kinds of nuance and dynamics to it. But at the end of the day, American citizens are being traumatized by what we are told is a necessary thing to rid America of all illegals. There's something else at play here, you guys. Now, let's hop off of that, and we're going to get into some other stuff. Let's take a look at this, checking on this poll here. So most of you believe it is the responsibility of the military-industrial complex to at least help with the homeless vets, even if they paid half of it, shared the cost with the taxpayers. Maybe, guess what? That would give them an incentive not to get engaged in wars. If they knew they had to pay a bunch of tax money to help the veterans, maybe that would be a check and balance, wouldn't it? Unbelievable. Let's end this poll here. Thanks, you guys, for checking into the poll. Looked like about 200 of you voted, so that's good. Now, let's get into this weird phenomenon, drowning celebrities. Drowning celebrities. Did you hear that Jason Momoa almost drowned? So, first we had Malcolm Jamal Warner, and now Jason Momoa. And the irony here is that his last big role was Aquaman, who's supposed to be like half fish and half person. And so Jason Momoa gives the tale of how he almost drowned while surfing. He says his leash broke and he was like a mile offshore. His leash on a surfboard broke. Now, I believe all this is biblical. What do I mean? Well, this drowning thing, it's about a dark birth. We are suspended in amniotic fluid when we are in the womb of our mother, attached by an umbilical cord. It's almost like a leash. And in this case, Momoa's umbilical cord was severed, cut away from God, because God knew us in the womb. This is insane. He paddled 13 miles down the coast. That's a loaded number. And weeks before this incident with Aquaman, Malcolm Jamal Warner drowned in the ocean. Malcolm Jamal Warner played Theo, which means God. So what are they really saying here? Well, Theo did not survive. He drowned. The killing of God and Aquaman, the beast coming out of the sea, who did survive the dark baptism. Unbelievable. Welcome to the spiritual matrix, you guys. Now, I'm not going to read this whole account, but needless to say, it is loaded with spiritual symbolism relating back to all this. Now, trigger alert on these next stories, because it's all about these bizarre zombie rabbits. You guys, during the pandemic, I was talking about zombified animals. We did lots and lots of stories. And a lot of people were saying, oh, that's just fear. It's just fear for us not to eat the animals. Fear, 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 fear. No, there's something to this. Now we have zombie rabbits. Now, we never backed away from those stories. We saw a pattern, didn't we? The zombie deer, the zombie foxes grabbing children, zombie coyotes, zombie everything. The wildlife changed. And I told you the wildlife had changed. Well, yesterday we did a show on rabbits and IVF. Remember? Of course, again, that video got flagged because we were over the target. But what I didn't know yesterday when I did the show was that there was a concurrent story about rabbits. And I did not know this when I did the show yesterday, but some of you mentioned it in the chat. I should have looked closer, but take a look at this. Zombie rabbits, now with black horns and mouth tentacles, are invading backyards in Colorado.
Growths resembling tentacles or horns protruding from their heads. One reporter captured a photo of a rabbit with the growth on its head, which resident Susan Mansfield said looked like black quills or black toothpicks sticking out all around his or her mouth. Photos of another rabbit, whose growths have almost completely covered its face, have also gone viral on Reddit. Colorado parks and wildlife officials.
So this is in Colorado. This is not good. What the heck's happening? Almost like some kind of viral growth or some kind of fungal growth. Let's read about the cover story. Now, I never ever take the cover story at face value, but we have to read it. And then we have to decide what this is about. There's something happening to the animals on a DNA level. Let's read about this. It says here, captured a photo of one of the not so cute rabbits with the growth on his head. Black quills, toothpick. I thought he would die off during the winter, but he didn't. He came back a second year and it grew. Photos of another rabbit whose growth has almost completely covered its face has gone viral. I'm not going to show you guys the pictures of this. They have identified the cause as Shope papilloma virus, a rabbit-only virus with no cure that produces wart-like tumors known as papillomas. Now, there are humans. We have a human papilloma virus, HPV, that women get. I think men can get it too. But this is insane, you guys. The virus only spreads among rabbits, primarily by biting insects like fleas and ticks during warmer months. A relative of human papillomavirus, SPV, is not harmful to humans, pets, or wildlife. It usually doesn't hurt the rabbit unless it affects the mouth or eyes, or mouth. Officials advise residents to avoid approaching or touching affected rabbits. Most wild rabbits manage well, as the growth often disappears on their own. The rabbit's eerie look has gone viral with comparisons to zombies, aliens, and Frankenstein bunnies. They're like antlers. Holy smokes. I'm just going to not show you those pictures because it's pretty disgusting. Now, here's our last story for today. ICE recruitment drive has just hit a disgusting new low, and you're going to want to sit down for this one. The gloves are now off. We now have our own Department of Homeland Security, our own government, who just tweeted out this tweet that literally references a white supremacist. The post says, "Which way, American man?" to recruit people to ICE, which is a direct reference to a book called Which Way, Western Man, written by an infamous white supremacist, William Gailey Simpson, and published by the Yahtzees and National Alliance founder William Luther Pierce, in case you had any questions. Talking about the necessity of eugenics. Remember, we talked about big balls yesterday and how that whole meme was really about fertility. It's a whole play on words, big balls being essentially very fertile testicles. And that the oldest reference we could find to big balls was a Yahtzee punk band called Big Balls. Well, they're coming out with it, you guys. As I've always told you, people like you and I aren't the real racists. The real racists are from the top down, and they're trying to stoke a race war between you and I. Most people of different colors get along really well on our level, middle, lower class, middle, upper class, because we have to live together, don't we? It isn't until we see stuff like this that stirs the pot that people get a little uncomfortable. Why is our government putting things like this out? They're doing it on purpose because Trump has now started a race war. Most of the big cities that he's going after have at least a 30 to 40% black population. That was intentional. When he named those cities that he's sending the military into, that was intentional. Make no mistake. I'm back in the chat, you guys. I'm sorry I have to give you this information, but this is the truth. Everything that I just said today can be checked out. Look it up for yourself, regardless of what side of the aisle you fall on, and understand this is a dual effort by both sides of the aisle to come after you and me, our rights, and to cause discord. The economy will crash, and I hope that you're prepared. I've been saying all along, get out of debt. Try to simplify your life. Try to spend less money. Try to come up with a way to weather a storm of a time where you might not be able to have a job. Try. I've been saying this for a decade, and now we're here on the doorstep of complete chaos. And this isn't to scare anyone. This is a warning so you can weather the storm until Jesus returns. We're not going to have to go through it for too long, but you're going to have to go through it. There's no escape from it. We have to go through it. And I hope many of you did listen, but a lot either didn't have the ability to listen or whatever. But here we are, and this is what we're dealing with. So I'm in the chat. Good morning, everybody. Wow. Yes, the whole unclean creature thing. Yeah, I guess rabbits are unclean meat. Okay. It'll be interesting to see if today's video gets flagged. I tried to be kind of careful. We have to call them Yahtzee, the Yahtzees. Have you ever played Yahtzee? The algorithms are smart now, though. They know when we're replacing words. This is getting crazy, you guys. This is getting crazy. All right. So, zombie rabbits. Yes, we have to go through it, and we will. Absolutely, Mimi. But we got this. We got each other. This is why I've been telling people, it's crazy. I don't know. I think it's a YouTube trick. It's got to be a YouTube trick. But, about 2/3 of you tune out to the Honey Milk Ranch stuff. The whole purpose, the most important part of this channel is the ranch, to try to show you how a person can, on minimum wage, carve out something that can help you weather the storm. And, I'm not a smart person. I had to feel my way. I had to make a lot of mistakes, the garden, the this, the that, showing you how to just put things together on your own using basic materials. It's the most important part of the channel, showing how you can be closer to God in the wilderness, outside of the cities. Now we see the reason why we needed to be out of the cities. Remember, I told you they want us all in the cities because they're easily controllable. There's a grid system. There's entry and exit points that they can cover. That's where they want people. They don't want you in the countryside. They can't control countrysides. It's a lot more difficult for military and drones and things they don't want to spend the time or the ordnance or to go out in these unincorporated areas. That would be a disaster if everybody lived outside of a city. They wouldn't be able to control anything. This is why they love cities. And now they're going to go practice. They're going to go have some fun. Let's go into Baltimore. Let's go into DC. Let's have some fun. Let's practice our methods. And we all saw this coming years ago. Remember the military helicopters flying over LA? Remember that whole thing in the dark? And they're like, oh, we're just running operations. And no one in their wildest dreams could have imagined that there would be a day where the military would really be running helicopters. And everyone was like, oh, nothing to see here. There's just Black Hawk military helicopters running exercises in downtown LA. Nothing to see here. Remember this? This was like 7 or 8 years ago. And now here we are. Remember the night drones at the end of the Biden presidency? Oh, that had nothing to do with Trump. Casey, he's not even the president yet. And then I showed you how Trump was the one that literally passed the laws during his first presidency to allow for drones to fly at night outside of the view of their operator. Literally, it said night drones, you guys. And now you see it. Biden was never in control. Trump was probably in control the whole time during the whole Biden presidency, biding his time. And so here we are. Here we are. Some of you live in these cities where the military is coming to. You're probably thinking, oh, maybe I should have got out of this city because here it comes. Or maybe you don't care. Maybe you like that the military is coming to your city. People have lost their minds. They think this is okay. I don't think it's okay at all to basically take out all of our homeless and put them in jail. Veterans. So, I know this is tough talk for some people, but you need to hear this. I promised God in 2012 that I would speak the truth no matter how uncomfortable it was. Until he tells me to stop. And one day he will tell me to stop. He did say there was an end point to this channel at some point. And there will be a day where I have to sadly come on here and say, you know what? Either we're going to drastically shift gears and God wants me to only talk about spiritual things maybe and not this stuff. But there will come a point where we stop talking about this stuff. You guys, This isn't just about homeless people who are on drugs. This is what they want you to believe. We're talking about van lifers. There are a good portion of you who are listening to this show right now that are in a van. You are now considered illegal. You'll be incarcerated or chased out of wherever you're at under Trump's new edict. Van lifers. If you don't have a physical address, you will be arrested, institutionalized, incarcerated. How did we get to this point? This is what has me angry. I was considering being a van lifer at one point. Many of you remember. But as I was doing my research about van life, I realized that they were already starting to close in on van lifers. Remember I told you guys, I go, you know what? There used to be a time where you can go into these national parks as a van lifer and stay for a certain amount of time. And then I told you how I was researching it and I found out that people who were in vans in national parks said that they were being harassed by the, what do they call them? The people that run the national parks. That they were being harassed by them. Remember this? Somebody help me here. What is a national park person called? A ranger. Remember this? And I told you that as soon as you rolled in, they like had you on camera and then they like run to your van. They get all your information and then they watch you. And then anything you do, you get kicked out of the park. They count how many days you're there. Remember this? Now I just watched a TV series called Rangers, I think is what it was called. Have you guys seen it? And it was so sad how they depicted the homeless encampments inside Yosemite National Park as they're trying to solve these murders. And in the movie, they make fun of the way the people smell. They can depict them as conspiracy theorists who all they do is run drugs, and there's some secret, drug lab hidden in these old gold mines inside of a mountain. These wild scenarios to make homeless people look dangerous and bad. There was a kidnapping and several murders and drug cartels in Yosemite. The whole story was ridiculous. And the rangers, the brave rangers, had to deal with these homeless people who were rude and assuming and unreasonable, and they were harboring the drug cartels. Do you see what's happening now? Why would that TV series come out right now? It's because they don't want homeless people in the national parks. You're the enemy now. That's your park. You paid tax dollars into that park. See if I can find this. What was it called? Let me see. Let's look it up here. Here it is. Okay. Oh, it's called Untamed. Here it is right here. Oh, wait, where'd it go? Control, minus. You guys, this is tough talk today. I'm sorry, but I'm upset. I can't believe I'm upset today, but I am. Okay, if you want to watch a really good series this is 82% on Rotten Tomatoes, 7.2 IMDb. It starts out a tiny bit slow in the first episode, but basically it follows these two rangers. It's called Untamed, and they're trying to solve this murder, but they throw homeless people under the bus is the point. So Netflix, here it is, Untamed. It's got good acting in it, but it's kind of disturbing how they depict homeless people. It's got this guy in it, longtime actor. He's the ranger has to solve the mystery of the horrible homeless people. I can't even believe this reality we live in, you guys. Can't even believe it. I don't recognize this world anymore, you guys. I just don't recognize it. It's like we're the only ones with any sense. The rest of the world has gone insane. People just feeding into the misinformation, to the lies, to the right-left paradigm. Yeah, I need to take a deep breath. I know. Fruits of the Spirit. I got to calm down, get my peace back. Somebody has to get upset for these people. All right. Yes, this is not our home, Nick. Smoky Mountains. Predictive programming. Yes, it's to make us fear homeless people. Oh, the homeless people. They've got a secret drug lab. They're covering for the drug cartels inside of a abandoned gold mine in the middle of Yosemite National Park. Think how ridiculous that is. And they've got homeless encampments and they just cause problems. They start fires and they're rude. So Josh feels the same way. Yeah. I love you guys too. The truth has to be spoken. It just has to be in order for anything, any chance of anything to change. Now we know it's not going to change, but we never should stop speaking the truth, you guys. Never. Even if we know it's not going to change. Homeless population ruined San Francisco. Yes, that was by Democrat design. They're part of it. They had to create the problem so Trump could solve the problem. They're all working together. Do you think none of these Democrats are invested in the tech billionaires and all the technology that they're using to root out homelessness and illegals and all this? Of course, they're invested in this stuff. So they get in a room. Here's how it works. Let me be more specific because I'm still seeing right left paradigm statements in the chat. This is how it works. They all get together in a room. They go, ha, hey, Trump, let's go to lunch. And then Nancy Pelosi says, yeah, let's go. Oh, but we can't be seen in public together. Okay, no problem. Well, you're the godmother of my children. So we'll just pretend. But yeah, okay, we'll have the secret meeting. And then they all go, okay, they get on this conference call or whatever. They can do Zoom now. And they go, okay, how are things going over in San Francisco? Have you ruined it yet? Not quite. We need to send out more drug needles and stuff. And, let more homeless people in to further bring down the property values in San Francisco. Okay, cool. You got to get it really bad because when I come back into power, we're going to need to bring in the military and we're going to need to, make sure that it's bad enough to where we can do something about it, right? This is what's really happening, you guys. When you wake up to it, you'll finally realize it. It's too convenient. It's too convenient the way all this played out. There's no possible way that this all just randomly happened. It was all by design from the beginning. And now here we are. A line has been crossed. Military in our cities. And the poor soldiers are the ones that are asleep too. They need to wake up, but it's too late because now it's about money. Trump's paying these people hand over fist. These ICE agents are making six figures. They're now mercenaries. Mercenaries. And the military guys, they're going, oh, the military might not be being paid a whole lot, but they have the promise and the prospect of becoming ICE agents and military agents and mercenaries after they get out of the military because they see their friends with these big old hunkin' homes, right? And they're going in nice trucks and they're going, oh, okay, I got to put in my 2 or 3 years and then I can go work for that and make six figures. Do you see what's happening here? I hope you do. I really hope you do. All right. What else is going on, you guys? Now, I can imagine that any day now we are going to get the press secretary, Donald Trump's going to come out and say, okay, well, despite the fact that we're going after all these homeless people, we are making an exception for the veterans. Watch, mark my words. There will be something to try to ease your mind about the veterans. They'll say, oh, the veterans are getting special treatment, but really they won't be. They'll say, oh, watch. Just for the simple fact that we brought it up today is probably will be the next thing that's talked about. All right. Okay. I need to calm down, you guys. Problem, reaction, solution over and over again. Yes, Bill. Okay. Joy got out of surgery and she's doing better. Yeah. Joy went in for surgery. So prayers for her. Thanks, Daryl, for the update. There are two purposes to every wall: keep you out, keep you now. they're going to want to tune in for tomorrow's show because it's all about a wall. What am I talking about? The Alien Earth TV series and the first 2 episodes is about a wall. Wait a minute, Casey, I watched the first 2 episodes. I didn't see a wall. The name of the ship that crash lands on Earth is called the Maginot. And Maginot built a French wall to hold out the Yahtzees. Maginot built the first wall. One of his terms ended on Trump's birthday, 1920s. It's all about the wall. The wall to keep us in, the wall to keep them out. It really doesn't matter. At this point, can you imagine? You're in a big city and you're like, I'm getting the heck out of America. Nope, it's militarized. You can't get out. They're coming to your city, military in the streets. You try to escape to Mexico? Nope, sorry. It's militarized too. We're literally being squeezed like an anaconda. Now, I don't live in a big city or even anywhere close to one. But I can imagine how I'd feel right now living in a place like Baltimore, knowing that the feds and the military were coming to my city. I'd probably leave. But there's no way out at this point. Nowhere to go. So, all right. Rent, outrageous. And in order to get into a place, you have to make 4 times the amount of rent. If the rent is $2,500, you have to make $7,500 monthly. Exactly. These are the big elephants in the room that the economy never talks about. And Trump never talks about this because he doesn't have to deal with this. It's us on our level that have to deal with this unfair housing and how much money you have to make just to keep your head above water. I'm not giving money to homeless near because they'll buy drugs with it. And I agree with that, Bill. I agree with that. Drugs are a problem. I'm not condoning drug use with the homeless. What I'm saying is it's a long road before the person that you see in the street falling over or hunched over on drugs got to that point. It's usually a pretty long road. And many of them are veterans that have lost hope. And yes, those people need drug treatment programs, but we're not talking about just that. We're talking about that our federal government has made it illegal to be homeless. Let me be clear here. It is now illegal to be homeless. So this goes far beyond helping people on drugs. Look, I would have been totally down for that. Oh, you want to go and help people that are on drugs, homeless, and get them into a treatment program? That's one thing. But he went far beyond that. He went far beyond that, didn't he? Homelessness is now illegal. And a lot don't do drugs. Absolutely. And many of you who come to this channel are homeless and you're not on drugs. They want to give you the worst case scenario. That's why the Democrats are handing out needles so that they could hyperbolize the situation. It's programming. It's why Trump led with the drug cartels. This is why he led with that in terms of scaring us into taking care of the illegal problem. He had to come up with the worst case scenario to scare you into what he was going to do next. So, thanks you guys for chiming in and giving the other side of the story about all this. You know, you guys, when I was thinking about doing van life, it wasn't because I had to do van life. I have a mother who tells me every single time I talk to her, Case, if things ever get too hard, you can always come stay here and just help me here at the house or whatever. I would have never been technically homeless, but it's more of a statement against the system. That's why a lot of people choose to be in a van. It's basically, I hate to say it, but it's like giving the middle finger to this corrupt system. Okay? So, Trump said, no, you're not going to do that. You have to be in our corrupt system. Imagine that. Imagine that. All right, you guys. Well, I'm gonna pop off of here. I got the guys out here in the driveway trying to re-level it. I might get some video of that for future shows. They're out here because I had water, like not a whole lot of water, but dampness and moisture getting under my house. You don't want that because mold can grow and stuff. So they're re-leveling, regrading the driveway a bit to fix that. And really good group of guys, a couple guys, young guys, probably in their 20s, hardworking, started like a business doing some light, heavy equipment. Looked like they had a bunch of weed eaters on there, so lawn service and stuff like that. Hardworking guys. So they're like, you're 52. I'm like, yeah. They like, you look like you're in your 30s. I'm like, man, I want to give you a hug right now. Really nice guys. So I did walk them down to the cold spring yesterday, and they said they might be able to get a mini excavator down there, which is like 200 yards down the hill and 100 feet down at a 20-degree incline. So bless their heart for hiking down there with me. But what a surprise. I had not been down to the cold spring in probably 9 months to a year. And I walked down there, and in the clearing of the trees, the cold spring was trickling into a pool of water about a foot deep, and it was cold, and it was 95 degrees yesterday. And I was like, man, God is good. God is amazing. And I was just like, man, they're just sitting there staring at it. They're like, you got a cold spring down here. Now, the spring is inside of the easement because there is an easement down there, 10 feet on either side of that. There's like a ditch down there. But um, if the spring, I can come up the hill a bit on my property, and that's where they're going to dig out a hole to see if they can get to the spring. So that way it's literally on my property. And I'm going to get some pond liner. I'm going to have them dig a hole, and I'm going to put pond liner in it and try to have some of that water collect into a pool down there. That could be a couple, 2 or 3 feet deep. And it'll help the wildlife, and it'll be a place I can go put my feet in when it's 95 degrees outside and hang out down there. Maybe I'll put a park bench down there. So those are some of the projects I'm working on here at the Honey Milk Ranch. Anyway, I love each and every one of you, and I love you guys, and we'll get through this. I'm just upset because look, when you're tied into the spiritual, like all of you and I are, you feel the disturbance, don't you? You feel the disturbance in the spiritual realm. You feel the pain of the people that are going through things, even if we're not going through it ourselves, right? And so I'm feeling the disturbance of what has happened, what is happening, and what's going to happen. And so we need to pray for these people. If there was ever a time to pray for people, the innocent being run out of their van life, being run out of their homes, being arrested, who are citizens, being prodded and poked and pictured and biometricked, for the veterans who are already on their last leg. You guys, there are veterans. Imagine they might think about ending it. This could be the last straw for them before they get run out of the last place that they know is home. Unbelievable. I can't even believe this is happening in America right now. All right, you guys, have a great rest of your day. I love you.